Now I don't need my red and blue strokes anymore, so I can just select them and delete them. In order to select them and delete them, remember that if you're on the perspective grid tool, you can't touch anything except for the elements of the grid. So hit V to go to the selection tool, select your red stroke and your blue stroke and just delete them. Now let me show you how this works. There's this little icon at the top left of my screen that basically allows us to switch from plane to plane. Now I cannot touch it. That's because I happen to be on the selection tool. Remember that you have to be on the perspective grid tool in order to do anything related to the grid. So let's go back to the perspective grid tool by hitting Shift P, and now this icon becomes activated. Now if I hit the number 1, you can see that the blue plane is now active and you see the blue side turn blue. If I hit 2, it means the base is active, 3 is the right plane, and then 4 is outside. I'll show you what each one means. Let's go to the first one, which is blue. So I'm going to hit the number 1, and let's say I want to add an element like this window right here, and obviously my intention is for the window to be drawn in perspective. I don't want it to be flat. So with the left plane selected, I will take the rectangle tool and just draw a rectangle anywhere. And as you can see, what happens is, since my left plane is active now because we clicked on it and it's blue, you can see that I don't have a flat rectangle, but I have a rectangle that's going in perspective towards the left vanishing point. Now if I click 2, it's going to take me to the horizontal grid, which is the base. So for example, if I want to draw a pavement for the Starbucks, in front of the Starbucks building, I will just go ahead and click here, and as you can see, I'm drawing on the horizontal grid, or the base, the green grid. Okay, I will go ahead and delete that. If I hit 3, it takes me to the right plane, which is this orange color, and again, same thing. Let's say I want to draw a window or something, it's going to go follow the perspective towards the right vanishing point. You will see better if I change the color. So I made that rectangle a fill, and the lines are converging to the right vanishing point. Finally, if I hit 4, it takes me to this mode, which is the neutral mode, and which means that if I draw a rectangle now, it's not going to follow any of the grids, the left, the right, or the horizontal bottom green grid. So that's, the foundation of us understanding how this works. And now we'll go ahead and start implementing. Let's talk about symbols before doing anything else. The symbols panel is right here. If I click on it, you will see some existing symbols that are found in Illustrator, like this flower, for example. Let me drag it out, and you'll see that it's, a graphic of a flower. I can scale it up. If I go to outline mode, it's actually a set of vector drawings, many petals making up that shape, and so forth. Now, the great thing about symbols is that if I add 10,000 of these flowers onto my artboard, or however many, my file size doesn't increase. That's a great thing, because when we're doing something that has a pattern, a repetition of something that has to happen several times, our file size may increase dramatically. But if we convert it into a symbol, then even if we have 1,000,000 of those elements on our artboard, the file size doesn't increase. So that's a great thing. That's what we want to do in this case. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, perhaps a fifth set of windows, and they're basically made up of 2 upper panels and 2 lower panels. Instead of drawing this 5 times, we can just draw the window once and then make it a symbol and then drag it 5 times out. This way the file size doesn't increase and we don't have to repeat the drawing 5 times. So let me select this flower and delete it. And let's go ahead and draw this shape. Now I'm going to take my rectangle tool and choose white for my fill and draw a rectangle, a vertical rectangle just like this. And then I want to go ahead and make the shape of this window. So to do that, I will go to Object, Path, Offset Path. We've covered this in an earlier tutorial. And I need a negative value because I want to make the frame of this window. So let me see if I hit the negative sign here with the existing value and hit preview, what that is going to give me. So this is going to give me an offset of 0.1389 inches, which is good for me because if I look at the existing windows, this is more or less the thickness that they have. So that works. I'm going to hit OK. And so let me go to outline mode, and I see that I have a rectangle and then an inner rectangle smaller by that value of inches from the initial rectangle. Now what I want to do is make sure to select both, go to Window, Pathfinder, and Divide. So this is going to actually cut through the two rectangles. The smaller rectangle is going to cut through the bigger rectangle. And so when I go ahead, let me zoom in and show you what I'm going to do. If I go ahead and click on this bigger rectangle within the bigger rectangle, holding down the Alt and the Shift keys, I deselect it, and now if I hit delete, everything else gets deleted. So this is what I'm looking for. I wanted to make a frame and I wanted it to be a good, accurate, frame. The next thing I want to do is draw the vertical and horizontal cross shapes. So let me go ahead and take my rectangle tool and now just to the best of my abilities draw a nice long vertical shape and then another horizontal shape. Try to make it of equal thickness as much as you can. And now I wish to center this vertical line obviously with the frame. So what I can do is just select it and select the frame, holding down the Shift key, and go to the horizontal align center icon and click on that, and they will become centered. For the horizontal line, I can just drag it and position it properly. Now, again, if we go to outline mode, we can see that we have the frame, a vertical long rectangle, and a long narrow horizontal rectangle. So how about we merge all of these so that they become one element rather than having three elements? So all I need to do is just select them all and then go to, again, the Pathfinder that I shouldn't have closed. It's right here, and then hit Unite. And so my three shapes become one shape because they unite. So that's great. Now this is my window, and all I need to do is just select it and drag it into the Symbols panel and drop it there. This window will appear, and it's basically asking me to give it a name, so I'm going to call it Window. And that's all. So I have my symbol now, my window in the Symbols panel. I don't need this anymore. I can delete it. And now even if I add a million windows to my artboard, the file size will remain as heavy as one existing symbol. So that's great. Okay, so first of all, let's start working with the left plane. We actually should work on layers because you want to stack things properly. So I will start with giving this left plane a gray color. I'm going to take my rectangle tool, create a new layer, call it left plane, and then choose a nice gray, and go ahead and make sure I have the left panel selected. So click on that. And this blue selection of the left plane will allow me to draw my rectangle within the perspective of the left plane. So if I just hover over the top edge, click and drag, I will get that shape. Okay, let me show you what I did because the grid is in the way. If I hit again Command Shift I, the grid hides and you can see this plane that I drew. Okay, the next thing I want to do is draw my next plane, which is the right plane. Take perhaps a brighter gray because it seems like it's brighter on this side of the building. So maybe this light, very light gray. Oops. Okay. And this time let's hit 3. Okay, so I'm unable to hit 3 or select this right panel because I'm outside of my perspective grid. So let me go back there, and now I'll be able to select my right grid.